These are the great wing shooting destinations of the world, steeped in tradition, offering the pinnacle of shotgun sport. Tour the planet with us.
The magic of Scotland's countryside is legendary, mythical, the stuff of literature. Every imaginable color of green dominates the landscape, which contains the most breathtaking scenic views even the globetrotting wing shooter is likely to encounter. Yet it's the magic of Scotland's game shooting that stands above all else for the sportsman. It's undoubtedly the most revered in all of Europe, and it draws wing shooters from around the world to partake in the legend themselves. In this region of southwest Scotland near the village of Port Patrick, there are probably more shot shells expended in the direction of the pheasant than any other game bird in Scotland. It's here that Chris Batha is in his element. Chris and others like him are part of the legend. They live to shoot driven pheasants, share the camaraderie of good friends, and simply experience the most hallowed traditions wing shooting has to offer.
Well, we're here at Portsmouth Estate near Port Patrick in the southwest of Scotland, and we're to shoot driven pheasant and driven partridge, which is a traditional European way of presenting the birds, from high cover crops coming over coppies and spinneys to guns placed in the valley along the bottom of the valleys. Big team of guns, 9 guns, placed at 40-yard intervals along the valley, and an whole army of beaters, pickers up, gamekeepers who you don't see much of, but actually orchestrate the drives for us by pushing the birds and making them fly up and high over the guns. Pretty spectacular stuff really, probably some of the finest shooting. Scottish pheasants in November are pretty spectacular shooting, and if you ever get the opportunity or chance, you should grasp it.
Can I have all your attention here, please? We're going to do our draw, okay?
A driven pheasant shoot in Scotland is all about tradition, from proper clothing and armament to the gathering of the guns at 9 a.m.
End of the line, almost.
From there, it's time to draw the pegs, or positions, for the day's shoot. The peg system is designed to ensure that each gun has a chance to enjoy the best spot sometime during the day's shoot.
When we go to the drive, remember your numbers. We are numbering from the left, so as you look at the drive, number 1 is always on the right, number 8 or 9, right? We're 9 today. Number 9 will always be on the left-hand side, okay, facing the drive. You'll see more than enough birds. Keep your shots nice and high, let low birds go past, okay, and be safe, please.
Then it's on to the lush green fields and forests, carefully managed to provide perfect habitat for the ringneck pheasant.
Wait, bit more bang. Yes, nice shot. Do you see how much time you had then? Thank you. Here's another one coming the same way. Wait. Don't rush him. Don't leave. Bang. More. Again. Did
I hit it?
You got it with both barrels, but you were just a... No, too low. So leave it go. See, what they're doing is they're coming out to the lock, and there's nowhere for them to go. That's why they're curling to go back in. So that's why they're flying the length of the wood, you see.
This is great.
Watch. This one. Now, don't rush it.
Okay.
Come up on it, lead now. Bang, lead! And again. You got it in first barrel. You got to give it that second barrel.
Okay.
This one's going to come through. Don't rush. Take this one. On his beak. Good lead. Bang! You just...
Right behind them?
Yes! He's to the left, so not too... Wait.
At first you see them all coming, you don't know where to shoot, and there's 3 or 4 or 5 different shots that you can take, and of course dealing with Chris, he wants you to take the hardest shot possible, so he's standing behind me barking, lead, take the high one. And you get a little frustrated, but it's fantastic. You see the pheasant curl and drop and you know you've hit it, and it's great.
Well, Julie Zapoli's, over the years, from being a student who's come to a shooting school, has progressed to being a very, very good friend, and she's made incredible progress. Well, she's just so full of life and so exuberant, and obviously a very beautiful woman to boot. It's no hardship to help her out in a peg, and she'd got her new gun the first time she'd shot it here in Scotland, beautiful from Mars 24, and it was just great to see her knock down, 2 cocked pheasants on that first drive, and she was high-fiving and whooping it up, and I tell you, there's no greater pleasure than seeing somebody that you've known a long time make that progress. It's fantastic. The season for pheasant opens October 1st, but the birds don't really feather up until it gets cold, so November 1st is a start. We're here in mid-November. This is traditionally mid-November to mid-December, the finest time for pheasant shooting in Scotland. It's a little unseasonal this year. There's still leaves on the trees, and we haven't really had the big cold spells coming in from Scandinavia in the north that we normally have. So the birds, some of them are a little lighter feathered, and there's still a lot of leaves, as I say, on the tree, a lot of cover for them. So it's really about sportsmanship and picking that really tall, high pheasant, what we call an archangel. Gabriels are often referred to, and testing your skill against those and letting a smaller bird live to get through the season, to feather up and be good sport come January, which you wouldn't want to be here in January, truthfully. It's a bit cold and miserable then. November's the month to come.
Welcome to southwest Scotland. This is Corsewall Estate, 3,500 acres of rolling hills on the beautiful peninsula of Loch Ryan. The location at the entrance of the Solway Firth is the dream destination for the traveling wing shooter. It offers some of the finest wildfowl shooting in Scotland, which means the finest in the world.
This one.
But this trip is all about roosters. Robust pheasants driven by beaters to fly over the guns, waiting at the pegs.
A beat! Ooh! When you're shooting pheasants, there's 2 distinct flights. Sometimes you're in the woods. You might be on a road or in a break, a fire break, and that's a very small window. The pheasant's actually sort of just playing across these small, tight gaps. And that's really reactive or instinctive shooting. And then there's the ones that tend to eat people's lunch, is where you're on the plain open hillside with high cover crops, and the birds come off there like little crucifixes, and they seem to take forever to get to you. And that's where people end up tracking and stopping the guns and missing. And I always tell people that you should see the bird come in and judge its line of flight, and then just almost like a boxer, set your feet, make your mind up where you're going to kill the bird, and almost like a boxer, put your shoulder into the shot. And it's that sort of reaction, that preparation and matching muzzle speed to target speed, establishing line of flight, and making that shot very sort of instinctively is what's going to kill those very high, long pheasants.
Chris Batha's morning shoots consisted of helping good friends become acquainted with the traditions of Scottish-driven shoots. After a traditional lunch, Chris can shoot on his own this afternoon, in a location that many wing shooters would give a right leg to experience just once.
We've seen some fantastic scenery today, some wonderful countryside, but here, the last drive of the day, framed by Loch Ryan, is going to be one of the most exciting and beautiful I've ever shot. The birds are going to be pushed along these hillsides, come out of the cover crops, faced with the loch. They're going to turn back in and skim alongside the shoreline, flying from the rock faces across and giving some really fantastic shooting. Many of you will be experienced shots, but you're going to be very lucky to get the opportunity to shoot a drive like this. This is just sensational. I think that was an assist, yes. Better part of valor, I'll put it down to you, fair lady. This is just incredible. I gotta say, this is one of the nicest little spots with a loch behind me I've ever shot in, and the birds are just fantastic. Just incredible. And again. What you've got here is, this is Loch Ryan, and it leads out to the Irish Sea. And Port Patrick was the original ferry port to Ireland, but was very exposed. So they moved the dock a little further north in the loch, so it's more protected at Stranraer. And these boats are travelling back into the 16-20 miles across the Irish Sea to Belfast. All right, this one now. You know, that was absolutely fantastic drive. One of the best I've experienced in my lifetime. That short window where these birds are being driven out of the cover crop, up over these cliffs. They see the loch, they break left and right, they fly across these short windows. I mean, that's fast, exciting shooting. Some of the best in the world. I've got to say, if you have the opportunity, you've got to try it.
A visit to the United Kingdom should include the sights of London. The history and beauty of the city is amazing. But to the wing shooter, it's Scotland that holds the magical allure. A driven pheasant shoot that can net more than 300 birds in the bag is why so many who have the wing shooting fever elect to travel the pond.
The true drawback for anybody who's hasn't shot it before, for an American travelling here for the first time, is the sheer number of birds. In any drive you could have 500 to 600 pheasants coming over during the drive, and they're a constant stream of very high, fast testing shots.
Chris Batha is with a group of guns he's brought from the United States, many shooting driven pheasant for the first time. The shoot Chris is privileged to enjoy on day 2 of the trip should convince any wing shooter that Scotland is a must in a lifetime shooting list.
Now there's going to be lots and lots of birds, so please pick the high ones, let the low ones pass, and we'll be fine, okay?
This is one of what you'd say the banker drives, the best drives on the estate, on the Corswell estate. There's a large release pen where the birds were first released over a year ago, and they will have been blanked and herded and pushed up into the high cover crops behind these spinneys and coppices in front of us. And what you'll get is that the cover crop will be driven by the beaters. The birds will come up and climb over this coppice or spinney in front of us and go into a glide coming back towards the release pens. You'll see some spectacular pheasant, probably some of the best in the country, if not the world, and they're pretty challenging. So you can expect me to miss as many as I hit. A good shot will hit about 1 in 3 to 1 in 5. So I hope I'm on form today. Medium shot, 1 in 8, and I'll give it my best shot. Oh, look at this boy. Now that is a shot. There's a bird to make your eyes water. Come on, bud. Oh, don't go over there. Nice shot. Nice shot, Tom. I've got to say that that's the reason why people come to Scotland. You know, it's a long trip from the USA, but it's well worth it. You don't get volume and quality shooting like that and scenery to match anywhere else in the world. You know, bonnie Scotland. But what they're doing is, you'll see they set the wings and they're planing, and basically they can't fly any faster. And it's deceiving because they're not flying their wings. They look as if they're slowing down, whereas in effect, they're actually accelerating. Oh, there's a shot. What a shame. That would have been a great bird. Tom Hutchinson, a good friend, was in the front line. I was back gun behind him, and proved to be a bad position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the bird up early. If he gets through the front line to me. This one's too low. I'm going to mark his line, see? I said if he got through.
It was just unreal, the amount of birds and the trying to get ready to get the next shot in with the loading and everything as they kept coming over. It was just unbelievable.
I can't think of anything more exciting. I've shot all over the world, but when you see high-driven pheasant like this, and the numbers, the sheer volume, oh, you start to dial in. And I watched the line and being back gun, you could see them shooting, and during that drive they actually found the targets, and they started making some great connections with some really high birds. I was impressed, especially Tom with that double in front of me, and then the hen bird that I was looking forward to shooting myself. So much as I was peeved at him and cursed him silently under my breath, I had to admire his shooting. Well, if one of these climbs and gets through, one thing you have to look out for when you back gun is somebody like Tom who's taking some really good high birds. They're falling 30, 40 yards behind him, and if a 3-pound pheasant lands on you, you know all about it, so you have to watch out for him. That's a sweet shot. Hey Tom, great shooting. I picked all your birds for you.
I saw that shot that you made back in the back. Just beautiful shot.
That was about the only one that got through, but you had a cracking hen. I thought that one was going to beat you all day long, but you killed it first round, Dave.
It was a great drive.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Pretty spectacular as well, isn't it? The water, the setting.
I just can't believe the amount of birds.
Yeah. I think we've done some damage to the bag today.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was great.
Yeah. Might be an early bath today and a pint of wallop, hot barrels and cold beer.
A driven pheasant shoot in Scotland is the trip of a lifetime for any wing shooter. The tradition, the birds, and of course the scenic beauty of Scotland make it so. Chris Batha is at the Corsewall Estate near the town of Port Patrick on the shores of the Irish Sea.
You know, in North America, we're more used to shooting birds over dogs, in other words, flushing them, upland bird shooting. And here in Scotland, they're presented in a different manner. The birds are what they call blanked or dogged in, where they gently herd them or push them into cover crops, and then drive them from those cover crops up over tall spinneys and coppices, and they come high over the valleys, over the waiting guns, almost like you're blocking in Dakota and the birds come to you as passing shots. And so they're high-driven passing shots. Much more challenging, sometimes maybe 40, 45 yards away, and you're going to be on top of your game, and it's so exciting. When you do clatter one of these down, you'll remember it for the rest of your life.
The success of any shoot depends on the game, but on a driven pheasant shoot in Scotland, no shots will be fired without the hard work of the beaters. It's these hardy souls who walk the woods and the fields, pushing roosters over the guns.
Basically, you're using the flagmen have quite an important role. Their role is actually just to try and direct the birds, to spread the shooting from 1 to 8, rather than just standing there flagging away to rise a pheasant an extra 5-10 yards higher. They're used to move in or back as the drive progresses, to spread the shooting hopefully along the whole line, so that number 1 gets as much shooting as number 8. Obviously, as the day goes, the guns rotate, and that can be achieved through the rotation of the day. But each individual drive, we're trying to get everybody into the shooting as much as possible. And the flags, although they maybe look to the outside eye as though somebody's just stood out in the field waving a flag, they're actually doing quite an important job there.
And there's so many birds in a drive, the idea is to pick the higher bird. It's to test your sportsmanship and your accuracy, and to make it more challenging for yourself. There's a lot more pleasure in knocking down a 40-yard planing cock pheasant than there ever is in taking a low hen at, say, 10 yards off the ground, skimming the hedgerows, and it's dangerous to boot. So that's why they're always calling low bird and making sure everyone's safe. I think there's an old poem, a father's advice to his son, and it says, all the pheasants ever bred isn't worth one man dead, and that's what a low pheasant is.
When the shoot is completed, it's then the picker-uppers and their highly trained dogs that take over. Many are unpaid. They're here to work their dogs and enjoy seeing the instinct, breeding, and training put into action.
You know, the people who are here this week with me, and a lot of the time, are people that I've done gun fittings for, sold guns to, shooting schools, and we've built they've been on other hunts in other countries with me, and we've built relationships and friendships over the years. And so when you come here with them and you have this sort of like long-term relationship, and you see them starting off, some of them who hadn't shot before or some who were shooting badly, and you share the journey with them, well, you know, yes, that's what it's all about. That's a buzz. Oh, shot, Julie! That was an archangel. Nice shot, excellent shot, Julie. Shoot like a dream.
Oh, I hit it. Yep, he's dead.
Hey, Julie, you were pounding him.
That was my best drive yet. I have never seen shooting like that.
But that cocked pheasant was way up there. I tell you, that was an archangel. That was on oxygen. Had ice on its wings.
Left to right crosser.
I know, fantastic.
Really high. Oh, that was great. Great.
Hey, I'm so pleased
Fantastic
for
shooting.
you. Let's get to the next drive.
Can't wait.
A good shoot in Scotland ends with a pint at one of the many local pubs. From the clothing, to the guns, to the pegs. From the beaters, to the Guinness. It's all part of the tradition and part of Scotland's wing shooting magic.